Welcome to Exploring GRAFIS CAD. This video series gives you an insight into how GRAFIS works and guides you through all the crucial steps involved in creating production-ready patterns for industry and trade. We will show you the complete workflow using the example of a hooded jumper. In the first part of the series, we will construct the style and discuss GRAFIS's own basic blocks. We will show you how to automatically grade your patterns, as well as the advantages of using parameters and dependencies between individual parts. We will discuss modules and see how production parts can be created intuitively with the Part Assistant. GRAFIS provides various basic blocks, which are based on traditional operations. In the library, you will find bodices, sleeves, and trousers, as well as underwear, several collar variations, pockets, and many other constructions. For my hooded jumper, I call a bodice construction from the library and make some basic adjustments. First, I straighten the center back as well as the side seams. I close the bust and shoulder darts. And I also close the waist darts at the front and back. Then I add ease in the appropriate places. In the area of the line relocation, I deepen the armhole and set the desired style length. Finally, I adjust the neckline. When extending it on the front shoulder, the back neckline automatically follows. Lastly, I will save these settings for the bodice as a shape. This shape can be used as a basis for future styles and be further adjusted. I confirm the settings and exit the interactive menu. For the next basic block, I create a new part. From the sleeves in the library, I select the one-piece sleeve. This can simply be attached to the bodice I just created. When doing so, the sleeve head automatically adjusts to the armhole. The two constructions are now interdependent. To demonstrate this, I switch back to the bodice and activate the preview using this button at the top. Now I deepen the armhole as an example, and the sleeve head height automatically adjusts itself. But that was just for demonstration purposes. I discard the settings again and continue to adjust the sleeve according to my requirements. In the options, I deactivate the dart at the hem. I lower the sleeve head height a little, and I set the ease to 0%. Then I make further adjustments. I specify the hem width and shorten the sleeve a little. Before I continue with the hood, I will discuss grading in GRAFIS. For this, GRAFIS works with measurement charts that are based on body measurements. Instead of grade rule grading, the entire construction is recalculated for each size. I will demonstrate this with the size list. I am currently constructing in the base size 38. I add the sizes 34, 36, 40, and 42. Then I open the overview of the measurement charts. Here you can see all the body measurements for each size in this measurement system. I now filter the table by the body measurements that are incorporated into the bodice and sleeve constructions that I just created. For each size, GRAFIS then runs through this information and constructs the parts from scratch. I close the measurement charts again and click on this button up here. GRAFIS now calculates the constructions in the background. The result is a finished graded bodice and a sleeve that fits the armhole in every size. Apart from standard measurement charts, individual measurement charts with your own body measurements can, of course, also be used. Additional grade rule dependent settings are also possible. Let's move on to the next construction. I will now get a hood from the library. This will also be connected to the bodice and will therefore take on the measurements of the back and front neckline. As with the sleeve, I don't need to worry about matching seam lengths and a consistent fit at this point. I can quickly adjust the hood in the interactive menu. After completing the basic blocks, I continue with the first development part. I want to draw a simple pocket on the front part, and to do this, I insert a few lines from the basic block of the bodice. On the right-hand side, you can see the toolbar with a wide range of different functions. First, I use the Inherit Objects function, and I insert some lines from the bodice. Again, these objects are depending on those in the original part. For example, if I go back to the bodice and extend it, I can see in the preview how the development part adapts. I continue to construct the pocket with the line tool. The first line shall be 110 mm long and shall be measured 200 mm upwards from the hem. The second line shall be 160 mm long and it shall start 100 mm from the bottom. Then I connect both endpoints, and then I construct the last line here at the bottom. I draw the facing line with a parallel of 20 mm. I extend the line at each end to the pocket contours. Finally, I set a different attribute for the facing line, and the development part of the pocket is complete. Now I continue with the cuffs for the bodice and the sleeves. However, I don't construct them from scratch, but instead load them as a module. Similar to macros, modules are previously saved parts from GRAFIS styles that can be integrated into other styles. This allows, for example, entire lining developments, including finished production parts, to be integrated into existing styles in a time-saving manner. In the part list, I create a new part, and I load the module bodice hem. As soon as the part is processed, I can link the development part to this particular construction. In this case, I attach it to the hemlines at the bottom. Immediately, the development part and the production part adjust to the selected lines, and the bodice hem is complete. At the top are the X and Z value lists. They are part of the parameters in GRAFIS. Z values can be used to measure the length of lines and perform calculations. This is how, for example, the inserted hem is adjusted to the bodice. X values serve as variables. With this value, I can control the height of the hem at any time. And this one can be used to determine the ruffle factor. Body measurements can also be used as parameters directly in the tools or calculated with the Z values. I proceed in the same way with the sleeve cuff. I load the module I saved earlier, select the corresponding lines on the sleeve, and the sleeve cuff is ready. Here too, you could make changes to the parameters. This completes the style development, and I move on to creating the production parts. GRAFIS has a feature called the Part Assistant, which guides you through all the necessary steps to create the finished production parts. I start the assistant and begin with the front part. First, I insert all the relevant lines from the development part. This creates a dependency between the parts again, so that later changes to the bodice and the development part are automatically transferred to the production part. Then I define the contour and close any gaps. Now I specify the seam allowance all around, and I set it to 0 mm at the center front. A fold line will be defined here later. Then I construct the appropriate corners, for example, a right-angled corner here at the top. Next, I draw in the notches. I add a grain line, an annotation line for plotting, and define the center front as the symmetry line. This is where the production part will be mirrored later on in the marker. Then I name the part accordingly. I define it as a production part and assign a fabric, and it is done. For a better visual distinction, I add a different attribute to the lines of the pocket. And I continue in the same way for the remaining production parts. Once all the production parts have been created, I go to the part list and organize it a little more. At the top are the basic blocks from the library. These are followed by the development parts, into which objects from the basic blocks have been inherited. And down here are the finished production parts that have been created with the part assistant. When I now click on Grade All Parts, GRAFIS calculates the entire style in all sizes that are entered in the size list, and we get a finished graded hoodie. When I zoom in on the development part of the front part and stack it at the center front, you can see that the contour of the pocket is not graded. This is because the lines were created with absolute values. To grade the pocket as well, the lines would have to be adjusted using break sizes, which of course is also possible. This brings us to the end of the first part of our series, Exploring GRAFIS. You have learned the basic principles of GRAFIS using measurement charts and body measurements. You have gained an insight into the interactive basic blocks, and you have seen how an automatic grading of patterns is possible. With the help of modules and tools such as the Part Assistant, we have easily constructed a hooded jumper. Your constructions remain flexible and easy to adapt thanks to dependencies between the parts and the parameters. Thank you for your interest and for staying with us until the end. In the next part of our series, we will show you more advantages and possibilities of GRAFIS CAD. Please feel free to visit our website for news and further information, or take a look at the GRAFIS Academy to learn about our comprehensive training opportunities.